Hi everyone, welcome to another digital tourism show, but the first in our Travel Massive exclusives. In this video, we have the pleasure of speaking with Renata Fernandes, who has 18 years experience in marketing luxury brands. Renata is the owner and editor of a media trilogy, which includes the award-winning 5-star magazine, Hotel News Scotland, and the recently launched Geared Life. Renata has also gained a position in the top 100 luxury publications worldwide. So if you are interested in luxury travel, this is a talk you do not want to miss.
Hello.
Can I have a seat?
Hello everyone. Just want to thank everyone as well for coming over. And I think it's a great opportunity that we have as well to share ideas and to ask questions and feel comfortable, not be afraid of asking anything. Spaces like that I find very, very special. Places that you can just meet people that have, work in the same environment, in the same industry. It's very positive. So thank Chris as well and thank the team for organizing. So I know it's quite a lot of work as well involved. So massive thanks and for inviting me as well. Really, really cool.
So how this is going to work, this is going to do this in a sort of more of a Q&A style thing. And then at the end of it, we'll open up the floor if anyone's got any questions as well. So I'm going to start with my first question is, because some people don't sort of struggle with this one as well, but is how do you differentiate a luxury brand from a sort of standard tour or ultra luxury or whatever that would be? What is the current definition of a luxury brand?
Luxury has been, we are actually in the most exciting time in history to be working with hospitality and with travel right now, because luxury is becoming more and more the thing as a standard, really. We are changing now more and more towards personalization. Up to now, we had the definition of luxury was mainly quality, comfort, making sure that all boxes were ticked in terms of services, quality of linen, quality, of customer services, etc. But right now, this is the basic, really. Right now, all hotels and all travel agents as well, they're trying to develop a standard in which this is just not enough anymore. So from now on, what we have is we have a few segments really for the luxury sector. We have one of them is a philanthropic luxury, which is people are now wanting to experience something more than just being in a nice hotel or visiting a nice place. They want to be able to leave something behind, to experience something that is unusual and that will enrich their lives somehow and maybe affect the lives of people around them. The other sector is slow luxury, as we describe it, which is time is the ultimate luxury right now. We are all rushing around, and social media and the digital age is just so fast that we need to take time for ourselves and to just completely disconnect. So the luxury sector is going more towards giving people the time they need for me time, for wellness, for a space between from place to place, small spaces within hotels and within venues as well, to just completely relax and to just not be concerned about the outside world. Completely disconnecting from social media and from the internet is another thing that people are trying to focus on now as well, because we have so little opportunity to do that now. We are constantly plugged. So there are a few hotels that actually ask you, when you come in, from now on you cannot bring your phone, or you have to remove all your devices and just be yourself. After 4 hours you can have it again, giving people that time to literally recharge. I find it super important, really, and I think that we need to embrace that more and more. We are losing the human touch, really, and we are losing the capacity to just wait and absorb and process information because of the speed of the information that's out there. So the hospitality industry and the travel industry is embracing that fully, realizing that the paper and the reason why we are there is more just providing hotels and rooms, sorry, I've got a bad voice, and a place to stay, but also an opportunity to have a better lifestyle and to improve your health and to feel better, really. And the last one, which is something that everyone knows about and talks about regularly, is experiential luxury, which is you are out and about to experience the world really in a different way that you don't usually do. You're exposed to activities and experiences that you wouldn't want normally to have on a day-to-day. Almost like a portal to a different reality, different culture, a different atmosphere, different people, different languages, etc. So this segment of luxury has been quite strong and will remain strong as the thing to focus as well from now on. But that's something that we advise hotels to really fully embrace. And you can see that with Airbnb as well. They are investing in activities and events. So yeah, that's one of the topics, most important topics there.
Well, you mentioned their personalisation, the experience, and that sort of leads into my second question in terms of, people are generally now are speaking. They are looking for more of an experience and more the personalisation side of thing, as you mentioned. But is the brand and the status still much of an aspect of that? Do people still buy into a brand rather than the actual experience themselves?
Well, that's an interesting question as well, and you have to remember that we are a world composed of many, many different cultures. So that will change slightly depending on the culture you are dealing with. For example, the Chinese market will really value brands. They have a connection with brands much stronger than the sort of European market and Western market. So for the Chinese market, that is massively important to have the experience of a recognized brand or a link with a brand or something that they can take a bit of heritage back home. That's why they love the UK as well. They come here so often, because there is a history here and a heritage that they are really passionate about. So that is one thing, considering the demographics and who you are targeting, which changes slightly. But as a whole, globally speaking, I mean, status used to be having things, and now status is being, really. It's who you are, what you believe in, what you want to be, what you strive for, what your goals as a person, as a human being. I mean, we can use an example. Facebook has, giving 99% of their shares to good causes. The owners of Zuckerberg. So it's like the new luxury is actually not how much you have, but how much you can give away, how much you can actually give to others and help others. So that's another thing to consider as well. It's not about bling. It's not about making people feel that they have all these things around them, but what is it that they can have around them that is affecting and influencing the community and the area around them, and in any way, or themselves as well. So yeah, a few interesting things to mention is that we are all now buying coffee brands according to the source, the community where they come from. We are paying a lot more attention to origin of things. Diamonds, where they are coming from. What is the cruelty involved on production of fashion? We are choosing our brands depending on what they believe in. So the company beliefs are massively important as well. And that's something that every single luxury brand currently is working on and focused on creating this unique ethos that people can relate with and strive for, really, as a sort of better community, better people, better, something better to believe in, and better, really, future for everyone, really. So one interesting case that is as well is Belvedere Vodka. He's just been giving funding for sustainable innovation. So it's the first EU funding given to them, because they've been focusing so heavily in sustainability, which is, again, currently for all global luxury brands, a focus. So they have becoming more and more sustainable, really, in the way they work.
Cool. I couldn't agree more. And even when you look at brands like Apple, for example, they don't sell a product. If you ever look at any of their ads, they're not selling a product. It's all about the lifestyle and what you can do with it and that type of thing. So I couldn't agree more. Is there any examples or processes with luxury hotels that you can give that create a better experience for the customers and make them VIP guests? Is there any examples you can share with them?
Well, I mean, there are like 18 years of accumulated experience on visiting places, and I've noticed a massive difference between the last 2 to 3 years. Personalization levels are becoming really, really, really deep, to the point that I had a Hilton hotel send me a form before arrival asking what music I like, what sort of scent I prefer, magazines. And when I arrived at the hotel, the music was playing, favorite music, favorite band. The magazines that I love were there. My snacks, favorite snacks were there. So it's more than just providing what we believe the customer will love as a sort of luxury product, but finding out about the customer and knowing what they will like the most. Because what we like sometimes other people don't. So finding a way to make sure that you provide that to your customer, hotels and everything else, is very important now. So that's one of the examples. There are a few extreme cases as well of there's a hotel in the Middle East where the staff will only look after other staff that will have the same religion, for example. So if someone with a burqa comes in, another a member of staff who understands why they're from the same religion will come and look after them, make them feel comfortable, or will only deal with the lady and not with the man if it's a couple. So it's a cultural awareness that you would not usually expect to find, but you're finding more and more, and I think it's really important, just like the translation business. There is a translation factor really important within offline, really, on actual hotels experiences in general. You need to understand the customer you're dealing with and the guest. And if you have someone who speaks their language and who will take the extra step and extra mile to provide them something they feel really comfortable and welcome, then that's what the hotels are doing now. But the personalization level for hotels, I think, is really a fantastic example. And the same for some of the luxury brands out there now. You come in and if you just type your name at the store, you get a few offers and things. They will come to you with the offers that they know that you want, and all personalized. The online and offline experience fully personalized beforehand, as well as during the experience.
Cool. Within the whole, there's been over the past couple of years specifically, there's been lots of turmoil within the accommodation, within tours and activities, and that time with different people buying different things, like TripAdvisor, all that sort of stuff. Booking.com buying various booking softwares and things. Now we've got Airbnb now making moves in the luxury market with the Airbnb Plus, when they offer like wedding venues, all that sort of thing. Do you think that's going to have a huge impact on the luxury travel market? Do you think they are going to eventually, what they're doing with hotels, is going to take over that market as well? Do you think?
Well, the impact is already big. I mean, the hotels are having to be really quick in changing the way they operate, really, to accommodate that. But one of the main things that we cannot forget, and something I advise all hotels we work with as well, is that the human factor and the experience that we provide the hotels is based on skill and experience. We are professional. We are a body, really. We are literally professional. So when it comes to Airbnb experiences, they can provide the comfort and the luxurious environment and the items, but they will not provide, for example, a sommelier with 20 years of experience in wine, or the type of multilingual front desk staff that you would find at some of the best five-star hotels out there. So although the market is there for Airbnb luxury, that does not affecting so much the luxury sector for hotels, because we are more and more investing in training, really. And the training is becoming more important than ever, really. So that's how we're going to differentiate ourselves, is by sharing information, sharing knowledge that we have, the staff have, the people working on the grounds as well. I mean, all the tour operators, etc. How much can they share more than just the house and the perfect environment where they can stay overnight at some Airbnb location? Airbnb is already doing as well activities, etc., and trying to do that and sort of get people that are specialists on certain subjects to run tours, etc. But that is not working all that well, because there is no consistency. And one thing you can expect from hotels and from the travel agents as well, for sure, the best ones, is consistency. You know that you're going to get the best quality, and they've been in the industry for so long. They know a lot more than a lot of specialists out there, and they're there on a daily basis, really doing that work every day. So yes, it's to be very much aware. We recommend hotels to be fully aware of the situation, and to invest more and more on staff, on training, on making sure that they differentiate themselves to the regular luxury accommodation by provision of service. And that means everything that service entails, not just accommodation, etc., but all the activities, all the experiences they can have beyond the hotel, creating a whole, full, wholesome package really for them to experience. I think that's it.
Yeah, it was just on Airbnb actually. And one of the things I actually found, I was at Arrival in Las Vegas a couple of months back, and was one of the things that somebody said was it was Airbnb is only meant to be, when they're doing the sort of activity side of things, it's only meant to be sort of freelancers or locals and that type of thing. But what it actually was is someone went on a tour and actually found it was not meant to be allowed, but it was an actual company who had actually put themselves on Airbnb, and when they went there it was just a massive sort of bus tour company, for example, that was on and it was just like, yeah, they don't seem to curate who's coming onto Airbnb in terms of experiences or their accommodation, so it's like that part of it's failing, and that's where the luxury market can sort of
totally. I agree as well. And also there is an interesting online an article from the Business Insider saying that millennials in Singapore, they splurge at hotels, but they choose accommodation regularly, like just everyday stuff for Airbnb. So they go for Airbnb if they're not business travel, etc., but they save their money to spend on refined and unique experiences they can only find in hotels. So that's really important, I find, the fact that, great, they can stay anywhere, but if you focus on having amazing service and something amazing to offer in your venue, or whatever you do, whatever segment you are working in within hospitality, within tourism, then that's where they will be saving their money and spending on, really. So that's the most important part. The other important thing as well is how local. I mean, people are choosing more and more to experience local things. So the hotels are embracing their local culture, their local food, their local produce, their local everything, and local history, heritage, design. Design is massively important. The more you embrace your local artists, and your local producer in general for the whole experience, the better it is, really. And the more you can be a step ahead in terms of Airbnb as well, because they might have some, but you can invest so much more and more heavily if you have a venue or a hotel.
Do you think that's sort of one of the most important changes that's happened over the last few years within luxury travel, or is there anything else you think it's been really important in terms of?
One of the most important things I think is being sustainable, really. We are trying to more and more be green and to have a less impact in the environment. And that is throughout the entire luxury sector, really. It's not only tourism, it's our fashion brands, it's car brands, etc. That is the main focus, really. But one being greener, but sustainability involves more than just the ecosystem around you. It involves the community around you, how much you are you're giving back, and how much you are helping your community to grow. So the future now, from now on, is a much nicer future in terms for the travel industry really as a whole. It's a much more wholesome and more humanized industry, which I think is really positive. So that's why I'm super excited about it right now. I think we can only see positive things develop from now on. We've done a lot of mistakes in the past, so we've wasted a lot in terms of electricity, gas, everything, really. We've just made a mess. And now we are really having to be so careful because people are choosing to only be or work with brands or hotels, venues, etc., that will have a nicer ethos about the way they work, really, nicer principles, etc. So that, to me, that is the most important part in terms of change.
A lot of it is driven by society as well. People are a bit more conscious in that side of things.
Exactly, exactly.
So, is there any sort of regions you say that it's got most potential for investment within luxury travel, or is there anything that's up and coming that you think's?
Well, the last 2 to 3 years, I would say again, because it's now, it's so fast, really. The speed in which things are changing is really, really fast. I would say 2 to 3 years is Australia, Asia, and Middle East are the top places where about 80% of all investment in hotels and developments is going to. So these regions are, for any developer or anyone wanting to actually, make sure that they develop their career and take to the next level, I would totally recommend those regions. It's way beyond just buildings, developments of buildings. It's actually the way in which they invest in nurturing their staff and training again is much, much heavier than what we are doing here in Europe. They have a bit one step ahead. So these are the regions where I can see a massive boom really within the next maybe year or so. More and more people investing heavily. I mean, it's already 80%, so it's really high. So yeah, these are the regions would focus most.
Excellent. Yeah, Asia's obviously one of it comes to mind, but I've never thought Australia. That's really interesting.
Yeah, Australia, New Zealand, Asia for sure. China has massive, it's a booming really industry right now in terms of development as well. Business, real estate, massive. What they are doing so in China, which is quite interesting, is that they are uniting the hotel experience with real estate. So you can stay in a hotel. They also have apartments where you can actually buy, and you can turn your apartment into one of the hotel rooms. So when you are away, you make money from it, but when you are there, great, you enjoy it yourself. That is a trend actually. That's being developed now in the US as well, in Canada. More and more, the kind of fine line between real estate for tourism, hospitality, and real estate for domestic market. That is really cool as well. And the fact that so many hotels are focusing on creating more than one experience, for example, the lodge experience, the self-catering experience, as well as the full-on resort experience, it shows as well how they're trying to open up the market to all different tastes and demands, and trying to compete with Airbnb and the likes of Airbnb out there. There will be at some point soon taking over again. These are really cool, exciting developments as well. Wow. I find.
So that leads me on to my last question. What's the future of luxury travel?
Well, the future, I think that's one of the most exciting things to think about, because we can imagine anything really. But one thing we can know for sure is that the way in which we travel on a day-to-day basis to work, etc., which is our cars, transport, is changing really. So the way we travel with our cars, which is going slowly towards electric and autonomous, we will slowly, invade the world of hospitality and tourism as it is already. I mean, you can in Las Vegas now get room service, which is a machine that comes in to your room, and that's it. You open up and you get your thing, and it goes away. It's already happening, but I think artificial intelligence will be the main thing really that will change everything, because once they realize who you are and you come through a hotel, they will know that if you are stressed by checking your blood pressure, by that you have diabetes, you are gluten intolerant, you can't be close to peanuts, you prefer this or that. You have all in your system by just looking at your iris. So as soon as you come in, the whole staff, everyone is prepared to serve you personalized service before even doing any research. Really, so there on the screen, and that can be done automatically. So you come into the room, and the light changes, the scent changes depending on how you feel. If you're stressed, it's a bit of a lighter light, or if you're energetic and stuff, and partying and stuff, then it changes according to what your behavior is. So the future, I think, is very much linked with technology. It's to do with automation, but also how much are we going to need human interaction? How much can we cope with just technology, and how are we going to balance that? The use of being always self-sufficient and checking in. I mean, I just came back from Ireland, and literally I got a pod, an autonomous pod from Terminal 5 at Heathrow that took me to the terminal. Got in there, I checked in my bags, checked in everything. No, there was no person there. And you go into the airport, the airplane, and that's you flown without one single person speaking to you. That's already happening now, and it's every day. So how is it going to be later? And did I miss the human experience? Of course, it would be great to speak to someone or comment on the day, or say, had a horrible traffic there, or whatever, just say something. So the future will be very much finding common ground between how much do you want to communicate with other people, and how much you want to be invisible as well, because sometimes you just want to be invisible. A lot of people are choosing going to locations where they cannot be found and it can be completely, remote. We are getting to a point now that the cities are taking over so much, and that the kind of urbanization is taking over so much. The real estate, the premium real estate, eventually will become the private islands and the small little remote places where no one can get to, and they will be so rare. So right now there's a lot of investment going in places that are remote, making sure they are safe, because there's not going to be that many out there eventually. They're all going to be occupied and they're going to be fully, with buildings and hotels and resorts and full systems going on there. So the places that are empty will be the most precious places we have. So all this we have to keep in mind, how much do you want to invest and how much do you want to protect? Because the more investment you give, you do on your own business, especially hotels in general, the more you affect your environment, the more you change the structure. So how much of that do you want? It's a very cool idea.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, when you mentioned the autonomous vehicles, people think that's like 15, 20 years away. It's within the next 5 years, yeah. It's coming. Well, it's already here, but it's going to take off massively in the next 5 years. And the thing about it is as well, people who have a lot of vehicles in their stock, who maybe do like bus tours, for example, or that type of thing, they have to think now about the next time they go out and buy a vehicle, because that vehicle will have little to no sell-on value further down the line, for example, because autonomous vehicles are going to be taking over.
Indeed.
People are going to be doing tours in autonomous vehicles with the guide within the car as you're driving about. So this is all happening. It's going to be within the next 5 years. It's going to be massive. So yeah. It's not, the future's not that far away. So.
And the other thing is literally our health, wellness in general. I think the future will be more and more focused on how well can we be, how stressed. We are already quite stressed people as a whole. We are all really so busy right now. So the tourism industry right now is taking a step of actually being almost like it's a separate area of medicine in a way, because you have to find space for yourself and for your health, to sleep and to have silence and to have a bit of detox. So all these things are hugely important. For anyone working within the tourism sector, I would say keeping an eye on the health of your customers and how they are feeling. It's like paramount, absolutely paramount from now on. Everything is an emotional experience. All traveling is an emotional experience. And how you feel that day or that period of time in which they are sharing their life with you is so important. And a big part of this is how their health is. If you can improve their health as you are traveling with them, fabulous. If you can teach them as they are traveling with you, they can take something home that is beyond just a nice sleep, a nice, a memory of a nice dish, but it's actually something that they learned and that they can pass on to other people, and they can teach their children, and they can encourage other people to experience as well. That is lasting. That is very, and that has the power of change as well as a society. We can have this effect. So, if I don't know how many people here work in the tourism industry. How many people here? Just raise your hand. Everyone. Yeah. You guys have such a massive responsibility to just make people feel better. That's it. To make people enjoy their lives better, and to be nicer people as well. It's not just about getting their money and doing their thing. It's about actually, as a community, we are all trying to strive to a better thing. So, let's see. I hope it inspired you.
Does anyone have any questions for Renata? Camilo?
Yeah, I would like to ask you, I work with whiskey, specifically whiskey tours. My tours are usually walking whiskey tours, but I do have a luxury whiskey tour that I give my customers, like fancy whiskey, although it's not the most expensive whiskey that you can get in town, right? It's about 18-year-old whiskey more or less, so it's about maybe 15 pounds per shot or whatever. So it's expensive, but it's not crazy expensive. Mm-hmm. I haven't had so far lots of customers for that luxury whiskey tour, so I'm struggling to understand what I'm doing wrong or how should I offer this tour, because, well, definitely I can get crazy expensive whiskey, like 900 pounds per shot, so that would be maybe more appealing for a luxury customer, maybe my luxury offer is not luxury enough for them, or maybe it's because it's a walking tour, so they don't really want to walk. Maybe they want a fancy car to go from one place to the other. Is that, or what should I do better to try to get
that market? That's a really good question, and it's actually quite interesting that I am able to answer to you, because I was involved in the training of the staff at Diageo in Scotland on their distilleries, making sure that the distilleries can provide a level of luxury service and five-star service to anyone coming to Scotland, which we didn't really have, and we are still developing. The whiskey industry is so behind in terms of customer service right now in Scotland, and after a lot of talk with all the staff, the entire Diageo staff, all the distilleries really involved, we realized that it's experience. It's all about the experience. So to target that market, you need more than just the product itself. They need to smell, they need to touch, they need to the sensorial experience for luxury is super important. So as well as telling them about the source, etc., I think the process of creation of whiskey, or maybe having the casks there so that they can see, or different, the process of development, so they can smell different types of whiskey as it gets developed, as well as the actual bottles, how they are made, why are they made that way, and how was the process of development of the bottle. The more in-depth knowledge they have, the better you get that target market. The luxury market goes for uniqueness, something that they can relate with, and there is a story behind. It's not about the car that's going to take them from A to B. It's about what is so special that I will treasure this. And what is special usually about whiskey is how it's made, isn't it? It is the time they've taken, the skill involved, and the sensorial experience that you have, the taste, the smell, the visual experience, and the whole context, the background, that it's involved in that. So I would try to adapt my tours for that, making sure it's completely sensorial, totally sensorial. It's making sure it's, eyes, smell, ear, everything. You can get the entire thing. Even the sound, really, it sounds amazing. When you actually put in the whiskey in the cask, and everything has a sensorial touch to it. The luxury market is all about that. It's all about the experience itself. It's not so much the product itself, because the product is the result, really, of this. That's how I'd go for.
Any other questions?
Yes. In terms of the incoming luxury market into Scotland, I mean, we're talking about a fairly narrow niche, are we not, at this stage? It's something that's developing clearly, but how big is it in relation to the overall market?
Well, the luxury market?
Yeah.
Oh, the luxury market is actually significant. It's about 30% of the market here.
Is that right?
It is significant. The most expenditure comes from the luxury market as well. So although you have more people visiting the mid-range hotels, for example, you get more people spending at luxury hotels. So the balance is actually, it's quite significant. And people are coming more and more to Scotland for this. They're coming for the uniqueness. Scotland is so unique in terms of character, history, etc. I mean, environment, scenery. But we are losing touch of this. We need to focus more and more in providing actually the experience, the Scottish full-on Scottish experience, including the skills involved in developing everything we do here. From fabrics to, any product we do, gin, etc., whiskey. That is what people come to here for, really, to experience that. And it's the luxury and uniqueness go together, very much so. So the more unique you make a product, or the more unique you make your tour, in terms of how to experience this, the more important it is as well. So it is significant, very, very significant indeed. And it's actually, in comparison with Ireland and in England, for example, Scotland is doing amazingly well with the luxury market, really, really well, much better. Even in terms of training, it's a lot. The quality is a lot better too. So it's to be proud, actually. It's to be really proud, and to keep pushing.
Justine, you had a question?
So I'm sorry if my question is stupid, but I'm thinking, me when I'm trying to book a hotel online. Like I will look for an hotel that has like the things I'm looking for. But for a luxury like customer who's looking for a real special experience, what's the first touch point of like the channel that person will use? Is it online like most of us, or is it still word of mouth or printed brochure? How because they're so specific. How do you reach them?
This is again changes completely. There is not one single answer because of the demographics. So depending on who you are dealing with, you work differently. But for the ultra luxury market, they will usually it's word of mouth. And it's a small word, so they tell friends, friends tell friends, and they all know each other. But also they work with certain agents. And one amazing company that does really well this segment really well is Virtuoso. Ultra luxury travelers and ultra luxury travelers tend to go for Virtuoso because they know they're the top travel agents out there all over the world. They can find someone who will know the best about everywhere, really, within that region. But again, for the millennials, they will tend to go always online, really just searching and literally trying to find their own answers that way. For millennials that are US-based, that tends to be the case. For millennials that are like Australasia and Asia, that changes slightly as well. They tend to take advice from agents as well. So the importance of the tour operator and the agent for the luxury market is really, really important. It's still very strong, very strong. They can't rely solely on Google search. They need someone backing them up. That is definitely good. Yeah, the trust element is for the luxury market, especially the ultra luxury, which is kind of exclusive use properties at £20,000 a day type of places, in helicopter experiences, etc., supercars, etc. Then they will want someone that will recommend or have experienced before. So there are very few that are at the top, and they tend to be always it's a small world, and they're always there at the top helping each other. So it's also an interesting question for the people wanting to promote themselves online. If you can create a sort of a relationship with the agents that are already dealing with that market. And these agents are actually from different locations as well. They're the Chinese agents, the US agents, etc. They're all focusing on their own market. That's very important, or have some sort of agreement in which they can work together. You can work together with them and things like that. So hope it helps.
Yeah.
What you said about people giving away their phones, it's interesting so much because actually, and it got me thinking just as you were speaking about social media and how it relates to luxury, because I just see it everywhere. I see people, everyone wants to present their personal brand as kind of VIP. And that in the designer brands, the clothes they wear, the cars they buy. And I wonder what your opinions were about social media and the way, if that's selling a lot of luxury travel in a way as well, because actually people want to declare it to everyone. The way everyone shows the best version of their life on Instagram and on Facebook. So obviously, luxury in general across everything is growing and it's less exclusive based on price point. A lot of people are actually breaking the bank and being almost, buying beyond their means and a part of it is prestige. And I wonder how you feel social media factors into the luxury market travel.
One interesting and very important fact I can mention now is that Burberry, the luxury brand, they spend 60% of their marketing budget in social media alone. That's massive. All luxury brands are spending between 40 to 50% of their marketing budget in social media, understanding that this is the case indeed. People want to show off that they have something that's special, that's expensive, but for the tourism sector, because of the side that it's not only about showing you off, it's about experiencing. Because if you just go somewhere and take lots of pictures and don't experience, great, your friends are going to think you had a brilliant time, but you're not going to have the best memories, are you? So for the luxury sector within tourism, I would recommend that it has to be kind of controlled. Every now and then find ways that they can remove from digital possibilities, really, including spice experiences and things like that, so that they can relax a little bit more. But it's essential. It's absolutely essential for the luxury market, and it is so much so that they're investing heavily on social media. There is no way you can escape, and anyone that is not trying to invest on this is missing out. But the one thing I can say as well is that, for example, luxury watches, what they are doing to make sure they remain exclusive is, although their social media is really, really intense, they only work with certain shops. You know, there is limited availability where they can be found. So for the luxury sector, the way for them to remain exclusive is where they are available. It's at their own websites, as well as very selected, partners and outlets. It's not everyone, because if it's everywhere, then it becomes a bit average, isn't it? So you have to select and make it quite unique, really, and not that easy. The link between exclusivity and luxury is very important. You have to remain somewhat exclusive in terms of how you get it, really. So you have to balance both. Did you answer the question?
Yeah,
Was it? Yeah, cool.
Any more questions?
Glasgow wants to attract more of the leisure luxury market. What's it missing? What ingredients is it missing to?
Glasgow is an interesting thing because I've loved Glasgow all my life. I've chosen Glasgow as my home, really, in Scotland, above every other city and town in Scotland. I'm very passionate about it. But we've never succeeded, for example, with Michelin star restaurants. We've had so many times we've tried, and hotels have invested heavily in having restaurants that would provide the service, and we just can't. They don't survive. And I think it's because it's actually a cultural thing. I think the people in Glasgow are a lot more relaxed, they're a lot more friendly, they're a lot more less, kind of showing off, and they're just good people and not wanting to really, literally, I really do think that. There are some areas where I would even mention London, where it works a lot better because the factor of showing offness goes well. But in Glasgow, it doesn't. Here, you look at it and you go, that's a bit of a stupid thing, isn't it? It's like, why would you spend that much, on something like that? If you can just go there, that other one, which is really so good, and, you don't have to spend that much. So it really is a cultural thing. And I think the way to attract more people to Glasgow, and even more spenders to Glasgow, is to totally embrace this, because that's the unique thing about Glasgow. It's so down to earth. It's such a vibrant city that it's got so much going for it, and people will come and spend for the love of being here, not so much so to show off, but to actually just be here. That's what I think.
So less on the stars and more on the experience?
On the quality, absolutely. And also the idea of stars is changing. Even Michelin restaurants, etc., is becoming a bit of a curse, really, in some ways. There are chefs out there that are just turning down Michelin stars. There are hotels that are preferring not to go from 4 to 5 so that they can remain within a certain level for taxes, even everything else, and not to have so much pressure. So the change now is experience. Again, it's not about what you think is going to be. 5 stars is not as important as 4 if you have just the same level and quality of experience. It's totally to be embraced. Totally to be embraced. I would find that it would be a real shame if someday Glasgow tried to be like London. It's just not. It's just not.
Well,
Anyone else
got any questions? No. I thought that talk was fascinating. Thank you so much. So Scottish luxury is booming. You heard it there. So everybody, let's say a warm welcome to.
Totally. Thank you.